What happens when a Las Vegas Reformed Jewish rabbi and a Las Vegas Presbyterian pastor have a conversation as friends? They discover that no matter where you live or what you believe, faith matters. In this episode of Faith Matters, Rabbi Sanford Akselrad from congregation near Tamid and Reverend Adrian from Green Valley Presbyterian Church talk about blessings. From a Star Trek Jewish greeting to the priestly benediction, the two spiritual leaders say that blessings can be very powerful, especially when we bless each other.
Adrian, good afternoon. How are you doing?
I am doing well. How are you?
Good.
Hey, do you like my new coffee mug?
Well, I was going to say, a lot of people wonder how we put this together. You and I meet either in person or by Zoom. Today's by Zoom, and I noticed you have in your hand something that I think is a collector's item.
Oh, it's got a little drawing of you, a character drawing of Rabbi Sandy with your Star Trek greeting, which, how would we describe that to the greeters? You put a B, right? You make a B and put your thumb out, right?
Where did you get that thing?
Well, I got it at your party, your celebration of 37 years of ministry.
I'll be done. My retirement gala. So what am I doing on this podcast? I'll see you later. Oh, wait.
Wait a minute. Wait. No, we're going to continue these. So, dear gentle listener, yes, we are going to continue. We're still trying to figure out how to continue this, but if you have some input, let us know, because we're always looking for future topics also.
That's right. So we'll be doing the podcast, which some people have asked about, and what Adrian was holding was part of the celebration was a mug, and the Star Trek, he called it a Star Trek greeting, the Vulcan greeting, because I'm a Star Trek fan. But Leonard Nimoy,
really, it's a blessing greeting, isn't it?
Yes, Leonard Nimoy, you figured it out, was raised as an Orthodox Jew, and he remembered from his childhood that there was, it was called the Kohanic blessing, the priestly benediction. And he looked at that and he saw that they spread two fingers, and two fingers kind of looks like a V. But when you put the two hands together, it forms a Hebrew letter called Shin. And Shin stands for Shaddai, Almighty God. So he explains it in a YouTube, if anyone really wants to know the whole story about it. But one reason I was so interested in Star Trek was some of these little Easter eggs, the rabbi says, the little Easter eggs that would talk about social issues and problems. And William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy were Jewish, and it just seemed like the pioneers in the future were going to be Jewish. So, of course, I watched them, and they were a lot of fun. So that's not actually our topic.
What I love about it is it comes from a blessing.
Yes.
And my infatuation with words and the meaning of words. So I think we should talk today. I'm curious if you'd like to talk about it. Blessings, words have power.
All right.
So let's go back. So a blessing would be what in terms of a priestly blessing?
Well, in the Torah, it talks about how Aaron, who was the brother of Moses, the big brother, would say the words, Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, may the Lord God bless you and keep you. The Lord cause the light of his countenance to shine upon you. May you be blessed with happiness and peace. And bless the Israelites, the Jewish people, those words for all time. And that was in a recent Torah study class, and we looked at that. And we did a whole session on blessing and the power of words and the power of blessing. Oftentimes, we think of blessing in terms of ourselves and the divine. But people can bless each other, right? I mean, the simplest example is bless you if someone sneezes.
You may be doing that a lot today. I went outside and My allergies kicked up. So bless you. That's
Bless you. Bless you.
blessing, right?
Right.
God bless you.
God bless you. Maybe keep you from harm. But it's the power, I guess, of words, and it's also the power of intent on what we hope and wish for that person to be surrounded by the divine.
If you came to our church service, as you have, not all of our listeners have. So if you came to our church service, at the conclusion of the service, there is a moment when the pastor gives a blessing.
Final blessing at the end.
We call it a benediction.
Yeah.
Bene, meaning good in the Latin, diction, meaning word. We call it a good word. It is a blessing in which, when I'm the one up there, I pronounce a blessing upon the congregation.
We had the same.
My favorite one comes from the one you mentioned.
We had the same tradition.
Yes. And so we make this blessing, and I think sometimes people think it's just sort of, oh, that's what we do at church. Well, really, I believe we're pronouncing something over that person's life.
So do you have a favorite benediction that you use?
Well, yeah, it's the one that you just quoted from Numbers 6.
Yeah.
So, and now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. I love that blessing.
A beautiful blessing.
And there's other blessings that I will use, but I think that one would be my favorite. And
yeah, there's the one
at the very end when I say,
Fiddler on the Roof. May God keep and bless the czar far away from you.
Yes, Rabbi, is there a blessing for the czar? I love that line from Fiddler on the Roof. Come on, I want to hear you sing it. May the Lord bless and keep the czar.
Oh, goodness.
But words have, so what I go back to is I think words have power, and I think we forget it, but it's not just the responsibility of clergy, is it, to pronounce blessings?
Well, in the Jewish tradition, they actually have a tradition on the Jewish Sabbath, where the father, I suppose, could also be the mother in today's terms, but it was the father who would bless his children every Sabbath. Yeah.
And what would that look like? I mean, in my mind,
could be
Gentile, Christian, I'm thinking Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah, you raise your hands and touch their heads, and you might use the priestly benediction, or you might use another one from Genesis that blesses them. And I think it's something that could be very powerful if done from the time the children are very little, that they get used to and understand that this is part of the ritualization of our family's religious life. And I would say it's still there in Orthodox Judaism, but in non-Orthodox Judaism, it's not a tradition that's been kept up with as much as it could have been.
Would a family do it at special holidays? Maybe not in Shabbat, but what about special days of the year?
Sabbath is the most special of all holidays.
Oh, see, now this is a learning point for me.
Yeah,
okay.
The Sabbath is the most important Jewish holiday. But
okay.
You're saying, well, what about one of the holidays that only comes about once a year instead of every week? Yeah, you could do it then. You could do it Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, whatever. But you're supposed to do it on the Sabbath, part of the sanctification of the Sabbath. And it's I think it's nice. I wish I'd done more often with my own children. And they get too big and off they want to go to a basketball game or football game, or
right.
So you got to really,
Dad, I don't want to sit. Come on, hurry up in the blessing. I want to go, right?
You got to take those rituals when you still have control over their lives to
right.
Right. They don't have a choice. And then when they put up a fuss, you'd be surprised when they get older, they'll revisit those things and treasure them. At least that's what I hope.
Me too. And I look back, as my son's 25, my daughter's 23. I don't remember how old your daughter is, but yeah, I mean, I really do wish that I had done this more for my children. I do. Gary Smalley, remember the name Gary Smalley, author? So he talks about the fact that we have an entire generation. The book's over 20 years old now. I think it was called The Blessing. He says we have an entire generation who's still craving what they didn't get, and that was a blessing from their father, from their mother. That sense of, here, I bless you. So what is it, if I can ask you
Talk
this?
about parental approval or literally the blessing?
The blessing that says, Sandy, I bless you. Now go out into the world. I bless you. May God go with you.
Yeah.
So what is it about a blessing that's so powerful? Why could it be transformative in a person's development?
I think it symbolizes parental approval and protection. Before my son went off to the military, he wanted a blessing.
Yeah.
He was very nervous and scared
Mm.
before he went off, because there was a war going on at the time, the Iraq War. He ended up being sent, but not initially. And I guess, going into the military, even if you're committed to the process.
Mm-hmm.
So what about people who aren't going in the military? You want the blessing. Maybe a better example is the tradition of asking for the hand of marriage of someone
Mm-hmm.
to the bride's father. You could say that's old-fashioned, or I'm not your property. But some people say, you know what, that's not what I'm talking about. I really would like that sense of you going to my parents and asking for their permission. As quaint as it may sound, it's just that idea of approval. I don't think that's gone out of fashion. It may not be as common as it once was,
Mm-hmm.
but I think everybody likes that little ritual.
I think for us too, in our tradition, it's a reminder that you're not alone. So and I'm talking now about in the worship service. So at the end of the worship service, we sort of thinking of, okay, now you're going out into your work, your week, right? And one of my other favorite blessings is you go nowhere this week by accident. Wherever you go, whatever you face, God is leading you. So that sense that God is always with you. And I think there's a tremendous strength in at least holding on to that truth. I'm not alone. No matter what I face this week, God is with me. But sometimes, wouldn't you agree that blessings aren't necessarily so overt? Sandy, I want to bless you right now. A blessing could be two friends getting together over coffee and speaking a word of encouragement into someone's life. And that, I think we forget about the power of words and how words can pull us down. I can be tremendously torn apart by something emotionally. I just may be distraught by something someone says. I may hold on to that pain for years. Like I can still remember things that I heard my father say when I was a child, right? Painful, yeah. But I don't think he meant to be that rude or mean. It's just that we forget in a heated moment of discussion how powerful words can be.
You ever revisit those words with him, when possible?
Right.
I just want to clarify this. 30 years ago.
Unfortunately, it's too late now. He's gone on
Right?
to claim his eternal reward. But I've had those conversations with him in my mind. And that was healing.
You talk about blessing. I remember my dad, when he got diagnosed with cancer, he had pancreatic cancer. So he also was a rabbi, and he was retired by the time he got diagnosed, but everyone still loved him and worried about him. And he wrote a letter that informed the congregation that his time was near. And he said, I feel blessed by all of you and our friendship.
Mm.
But more importantly, I know that I am blessed. And
Wow.
knowledge of being blessed was really a powerful statement, because we are blessed, many of us. We take the blessings for granted, or we're oblivious. In either case, the knowledge that you are blessed is comforting, knowing that that also expresses a deep appreciation by others for your life and for your having made a difference in their life.
Right.
That's what he was communicating.
And so that was an open letter to the congregation.
Yeah.
Wow. And did he write letters to his children, to you and your sisters?
No, he took a moment. He didn't write a letter. He had a moment of private conversation with each one, because he had the luxury, if you will, of knowing that he was dying, and therefore he could take that moment. It wasn't like he ended up in the hospital and then boom, a few days later he was dead. It was a year-long process.
And don't we see examples of that in the Hebrew scriptures, where the father, knowing that his time on earth has come to an end, where the father pronounces blessings on the children?
Yeah, we do. And so very biblical, right?
Right, right. I mean, it's not like we've invented this. It's really coming to us out of the tradition of our shared scriptures.
And yet people don't do it the way they used
That's
to.
right. That's right.
Years ago. It's fallen out of favor, or again.
So if we were to come up with 3 challenges to our listener as we close today's podcast, how to bless someone in your life.
The first is to be present. I think that's so important. Be with someone, but not be present. You can be distracted or uninterested or just not paying attention for a variety of reasons. So being present is a blessing, and that shows the person that they are being seen, and being seen is integral to the process of blessing.
You matter. I see you. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the first. I give you the second.
I share a memory of a father figure in my life who ended every conversation with the same blessing that you talked about earlier. And Ed would just talk, and at the end of the conversation, he'd just go, "Okay, Adrian, and now may the Lord bless you and keep you." And I'm like, "Oh, Ed doesn't want to talk anymore." That was sort of a sign. But I thought, wow, to integrate blessings in everyday conversations. And the third one that I would come up with, when you talk about a letter, I think that's powerful. To write a letter and to share, to me, a blessing is also a prayer. This is my prayer for you.
No, we would call that an ethical will.
Yeah.
So before Moses, for example, dies, he talks to the people of Israel. If you screw up, this is what's going to happen. But if you don't screw up and you follow God's law, then these things will happen. And that was supposed to be the first ethical will. So the tradition, ideally, again, all this is theoretical unless you put it in practice, is to write a letter to your children or your loved ones and talk about not the money you're leaving them, but the values that you're leaving them. That would be a great blessing.
So an ethical will.
Yeah.
I love that.
So does that count?
So we can be present, we can include words of blessings in our conversation, and we can write a letter that can be an ethical will.
Yeah.
The last word that I want to say in life, the last word you read, I want you to know this is what I want for you. Yeah.
And then we say, "Can you hear Ratzon? May it be God's will."
Can you hear?
Can you hear
Ratzon?
So from your mouths to God's ears, Adrian.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentle listeners. We hope that you found something of interest in our podcast today, stay tuned for our next podcast. If you happen to be listening to this during the month of June, the 13th, 20th, and 27th are my last 3 sermons before I become Rabbi Emeritus. I'm sure I'll appear from time to time. Who knows? Maybe I'll even get Adrian to get me to speak at the church. Hint, hint, one of these Sundays.
Yes.
But,
well, you're still going to be our rabbi, right?
Yeah, I'll still be your rabbi.
Yay.
There you go.
You'll attract more people. We'll double attendance, triple attendance on a Sunday.
Only if we give them free ice cream.
Free ice cream.
Thank you again, everyone. Take care.
Faith Matters features Rabbi Sanford Akselrad from Congregation Near Tamid and Reverend Adrian Dahl from Green Valley Presbyterian Church and is produced by Leslie Snadowsky. We hope you join us again for our next podcast episode of Faith Matters.